Well, greetings and welcome. It is Tuesday, July 15th of 2025, and this is the Eccentric Perspective. I am your host, Blake Wally, and I will be here live for the next 60 to 90 minutes, give or take, covering the latest news and current events. And I've got a huge show lined up. It's going to change your life forever. Or not. But I'm going to be covering quite a few interesting topics. There is the thumbnail for today. Was the Epstein list just a big, huge hoax? Perhaps. All or nothing. At least that's what the latest is. So we'll dig into that, of course, as that has dominated the headlines for over a week now, since last Sunday night. And I'm expecting it to continue until there's, some kind of answer. But it's not going to be swept under the rug. It's not going away. But it is dividing the base a bit. And then let's get into some of the other. We've got a few other stories as well. Yes. Come listen to the story of a man named Blake. His saga is 15 years. As an independent journalist. A little niche behind the scenes. Okay, we'll see. To answer your question from the thumbnail, no. But some speculate it is. Well, I guess we'll look at both sides. There's some of the material I haven't even dug into yet. But, okay, let's jump to some of the other headlines before we'll run the intro. But it's great to have you guys, TK, Mark, and Kenneth, and whoever else is out there lurking or watching in the replay. Greetings and welcome. Yeah, here's what else I have on tap. I'm going to try to keep it relatively simple, somewhat organized. So is the Epstein case just one giant Democrat hoax? Is it time to show maturity and move on from Epstein? Or is it there is no truth to the Epstein association with Israel? Yes, no. Is it time to just send everything to the Ukraine to fight against Russia? That is back in the news. And Trump, did he cross the line by eliminating bond hearings for the immigrants, we'll call it? And finally, all of Biden's autopen pardons, should they all be just annulled? So these stories and more. And if you guys want to participate, like TK and Kenneth, please drop a line in the chat. Breaking news, something I've missed, your feedback, criticisms, and anything else will get you incorporated into the show one way or another. But let's run a very quick intro. We'll be back on the other side of this break. We will dive into the bombshells in today's news cycle. Here we go. Okay, we're back. Let's talk Epstein. Guess the highlight for today is this clip from Trump taking a few questions, and kind of wasn't the answer many people were hoping for, but here it is. This gets the driving point, the question of the day. Is the Epstein case a Democrat hoax? like Trump says it is. And here we go. Let's listen to him.
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen, and I would say that, these files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by the Biden, we went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release. Yeah.
So I guess that's in reference to Pam Bondi. I don't know if she actually had like a formal presser or what have you. But yeah, kind of a strange thing. Yeah, there's certainly a hoax with Comey and Brennan. There's even stories about that as well. They certainly manufactured all of the garbage from the Steele dossier for the Russia hoax. They should be held to account for that. They also call the Hunter Biden laptop as Russian disinformation. That was also a hoax. There's all kinds of media hoaxes. But this feels like it's implying that the Epstein hoax or that it is a hoax, and then it was manufactured by the who's who. And that part I'm not buying, and I don't think anybody else is either. I'm not privy to what Trump has access to behind the scenes. I don't know if this is going to be a satisfactory answer for most other people in Magaland. So, yeah, embarrassing. I would certainly say so. Let's take another look at this from Glenn Greenwald. He's saying, what's in the Epstein documents that is causing Trump to now insist over and over that they're all forged? So he has doubled down on this. So maybe you could say he was caught off guard last week when they asked him about it. And he said it was just all made up by Obama. And now he is affirming his position here. Very strange that they're all forged and fake and fabricated by Comey, Obama, Hillary, and Biden. So it's not a good look. We're going to have a little more information, but the thing is they don't want to show us anything. Yes, damn those Dems. If we could believe that. I mean, this is all a deep state thing. Now they're trying to turn it into a partisan issue. Clearly, obviously the left wing, the compromised corporate left wing that covered for Joe Biden's cognitive decline. They don't care about the Epstein list. They didn't do anything during the Biden terms, the Biden years. But now that Trump's in charge, this should have been done already. We should have had a bombshell or two. And instead, we got a big nothing burger. And now we're being told it's just a hoax perpetrated by the usual crew. But we'll see what... The public does not seem to agree. Many of the influencers are quite divided, and the base is disturbed, and this could affect midterms if they don't do something. Yeah, we all want to see justice brought out to all of the people, the elites that were preying on the peasant children on a pleasure island. It's not a good thing. But you got to wonder what's maybe there's threats behind the scenes. What does Trump know? And it's not just, it'd be one thing if it was just a hoax that was, or a scandal that was exclusive to America, but it's clearly not. So it'd be one thing if Trump wanted to release the Epstein list and it was just a purely American thing, and oh my God, this is bad and it affects our Congress, some of our high level, actors, musicians, what have you. But this is going to drag in, you're talking about British intelligence, you're talking Israeli intelligence, you're talking the Saudis. You have many people that are, it's not just, it's several of our, allies, NATO, The West. This is a monumental scandal for everybody. And if everything comes out with Epstein, because I mean, it's not like this is a Imagine if this was like China, Iran, Russia, the BRICS side, and if they had a big like pedo scandal, how embarrassing that would be. It's really a bad look for the West, especially as they're amping up pressure on Russia right now. How bad does it look when the Western nations are tied into this pervy scandal with Epstein and whoever else is trafficking in children and what have you? Okay, let's take a look at this tweet here from Matt Walsh. Says, up until 10 seconds ago, there was unanimous agreement that Epstein was a pedophile and a child sex trafficker with high-profile clientele who must be exposed and brought to justice. But now, out of the blue, we're being told that none of this is true, and anyone who believes this thing that everyone believed is a whack job and a conspiracy theorist. This is the kind of shameless 180 pivot that leftists typically specialize in. Very weird to see it happening to the right. I agree. Maybe we should listen to Charlie Kirk here, who says, this interesting find from Luke Rudowski. This is a Charlie Kirk tweet back from August of 2019. Says, retweet. He's getting that engagement. He's going to tell all of his followers, hey, retweet this if you believe Donald Trump should order a full investigation into Epstein's illegal sexual trafficking from the last 30 years and get answers. And then he flipped as well, was called out by many for his flip-flop, turning into a Charlie Grifter. And and then we're seeing Trump saying this is all just a manufactured hoax by the Comey and the Obamas. But it goes back 30 years. And Trump has got pictures of Trump with Epstein 30 years ago. In fact, someone sent me a picture here. TK Mark. I don't know if I can verify it. This picture with Trump and Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, who was Mossad, Israeli intelligence, and a prominent media mogul. There's a lot of history, and they're trying to cover this all up. But as a question, I think that part of that I was going to get into the threats here. What if Trump had his whole family threatened? I mean, it's one thing if they take him out, but what if they go after his friends, his family, start a nuclear war? We don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes, but we can't let these people get away with it either. Now we've got a big class war, civil war, potentially brewing. The peasants rising up with their pitchforks against the elites, or will they just manage to shut it all down again? I don't know. But we thought, whose side is Trump on? Or was he brought in? This is a lot of people think this is all a conspiracy, that he was just the populist puppet in disguise to lead MAGA astray. Shut everything down, but it's not. If that's the case, it's not working. As much as they like to say that MAGA is a cult, turns out you got a lot of people that stand more for the principles than they do for the party or the president. Even somebody they love like Trump. Okay, blonde shell at least. Okay, I'm not sure what. Okay. Hoax. All right, moving on. But let's go back to little Charlie Grifter here until I find some of this other stuff. So he was called out, but I guess after there was backlash for when he said, "Oh, I'm not talking about Epstein anymore." People got pissed. And now he's got an interview here with Mike Benz, who seems to be a credible source here. He's been calling out the deep state, was just on Elon Musk. He's got a great memory and he studies all this stuff. And I have not seen this clip yet, but he's giving his opinion here to Charlie about what should be done. Says Trump should order Bondi to pull the DOJ's Office of Professional Responsibility files and make it public. Let's watch a piece of this.
If President Donald Trump called you up and said, Mike, what should I do that is reasonable? What would you tell him to do?
I would tell him to have Pam Bondi walk down the hallway at Main Justice to the Office of Professional Responsibility, OPR, and pull all files related to the November 2020 OPR report that evaluated Jeffrey Epstein's 2008 plea deal. In the process of that OPR investigation, they interviewed everyone at Justice who was involved in that 2008 plea deal of Jeffrey Epstein and sought to put the story to bed by collecting transcribed interviews, audio, and basically reams of files. The report itself took 9 months to produce. It's 348 pages long, but it leaves out the critical information that's necessary for both the public and the current Justice Department to understand the Epstein issue. In particular, they interviewed Alex Acosta, the main Justice Department official who gave Jeffrey Epstein the sweetheart plea deal, about Epstein's intelligence ties. They have a one-line summary for that conversation buried in a footnote on footnote 244. Pull that transcript from DOJ, OPR, and Alex Acosta and make that transcript public so we know exactly what the Justice Department asked about Epstein's intelligence ties and exactly what Acosta, who cut the plea deal, said.
Yeah, so Acosta, who said that he couldn't go after Epstein because it was above his pay grade, that he was an intelligence asset. And this is a great idea, working within that system. And to find this information from, way back in the day when it was fresh on everybody's mind and get their perspective on it then. So they can pull that out. It's been a while. Maybe we can get to the bottom of this, get some answers on this, because no is not going to go over well. And here is the picture I was mentioning. I finally found it here from TK Mark. I can't confirm the authenticity of this, but there is no community note. And I'm not 100% if that was Robert Maxwell. I don't remember when he died. It's been a while. So is this legitimate? It does have that 80s feel. Almost looks like they're in an RV or something. I don't know. Interesting to see this. But this could be real. Spring of 1989. So what is Donald Trump doing with Robert Maxwell? That would be the father of Ghislaine, who is currently in prison right now. And she wants to talk. She's trying to appeal to the Supreme Court. And she's trying to give some testimony, trying to work out a deal. Obviously wants to get out of prison and would know a lot of information. She was all there, saw the whole thing. That's her dad. She was around Trump. She's a big socialite, and she was partners with Jeffrey Epstein for decades. But they're actually blocking her from testifying. Or we'll dig into this. But it's a weird development there with House Republicans that don't seem they want to bury the story as well. They have a chance to do the right thing. Got InfoWars here saying the must-watch report: the exploding Epstein scandal is a clear and present danger to the very existence of our republic.
I would give Trump an F in last month on his handling of the Epstein case. Everything they've done has created a giant Streisand effect. That said, though, he made a point in a Truth Social post yesterday that the Epstein file has been controlled by the Democrats, and only what they want to be known is going to be in the file, just like Russiagate and all the other hoaxes. I had always pointed out that they could delete anything they didn't want to be seen, but what about adding things that they wanted to be seen? FBI reports, not any real evidence, but things that spin it. And that's what Trump said yesterday. So I'm not in the business of being an apologist for Trump. I've been a major critic. But this has to be investigated. This has to be looked at very, very deeply. I did a big live stream earlier today that is very, very important. We're going to be going over more. And I want to respond to how Trump has fumbled this, but also want to respond to how I think he should handle it, all coming up here today. But this is a big deal. As Bannon said, we could lose 40 seats in the House with this fiasco. This continues because unlike the Democrats, we have morals. And we don't here today. But this is a big deal. As Bannon said, we could lose 40 seats in the House.
Okay. So if I'm interpreting that correctly, there's a couple ways to lose 40 seats in the House. Either they remove enough illegal aliens, they redraw the districts, lose people, or is he talking about that's how many people are definitely going to be incriminated in this Epstein saga and be taken down, and they're going to have their seat replaced by somebody who's not embroiled in a major scandal? Well, that is interesting news. It's also interesting news that you're seeing some of the unusual people come out of the woodwork that also want this information coming out. One of them here is Kevin Spacey, who's been involved in his own sex scandals and should probably know something, as he was in that House of Cards series on Netflix and knows how dirty the politics in DC is. So he says, release the Epstein files, all of them. For those of us with nothing to fear, the truth can't come soon enough. Very interesting. Also, see neocon Nikki Haley. This is a shocker. Saying, release the Epstein files, let the chips fall where they may. This is why people don't trust government. Can never go wrong with being transparent. Redact the victims' names, but release the rest. Wow, who'd have thought that we'd be in agreement with neocon Nikki Haley? Makes me feel like there's some kind of a trap involved. I don't know. Something going on. They must be plotting something. They're preparing for something. And then how are they going to spin it? And whose heads are going to roll? Who's going to be the fall guy? They can't just get away with it. But Bannon under a little bit of fire too. Well, let's see here. First of all, we've got Steve Bannon made a big Turning Point USA speech. With hardcore populism, the deep state must be destroyed to free the American people. I agree. You know that.
Trust.
All right, we're not listening.
It's one of our most.
All right, we'll move on here. But it's also unusual. On the other hand, Steve Bannon is holding on to a lot of very interesting Epstein footage. And seemed to kind of not admit it until he was called out on it, kind of on a surprise question. The word on the streets, I could be wrong, is that perhaps Bannon did all this like in 2019 after he was fired from the Trump administration. And maybe he went to seek out Epstein, maybe get some dirt on Trump. I don't know the entire angle of this and their association. But, not that Bannon was on the island, but Bannon was associated with Epstein for several years there after, he had been disgraced. 15, 16 hours of video back in 2019. He's going to make a documentary, and then none of it came to light. He knows quite a bit too. Why is he sitting on all that? And how do we know we're actually going to get all of the good info? I mean, or he's just going to put out a documentary that's going to be sanitized with all the good stuff removed? So Michael Tracy calling him out. Bannon has 15 hours of Epstein interviews. Been sitting on for 6 years. What the hell? But they did call him out on it.
Real quick, Steve, big fan of your show. Just want to ask, in 2019, you did an interview, Jeffrey Epstein, for a documentary we're making called Monsters. That interview never came out. Would you be willing to release that footage, and why hasn't the footage been released already?
We're going to release the film, the 5-part series, next year, early next year.
Yeah.
You're going to see it. And by the way, the entire thing is how the elites in the intelligence services are inextricably linked with, it's what Tucker said last night. You're going to have to name names, and you're going to have to understand how the elites in the world, but also the intelligence services, are inextricably linked in Epstein's story. That's the key.
Yeah, he's probably right. I'm not saying there's anything sinister there. But I mean, you're talking about one of the most high-level criminals ever. We've got 16 hours of footage. This should be, something that should not have been sat on for all these years. This is in the public interest. So I was curious, were they going to release this, or are they going to release it now that somebody called them out on it? Or are they just going to bury that as well? I don't know. This is why it's so difficult to bring this all out. Because like I said, it's not just the United States. You got to... We can control our own crisis. But if that comes out, and then what happens with Britain, Israel, Saudi Arabia, and whatever NATO, other NATO allies that could be tied into this, it's just completely embarrassing for the entire Western world. But I guess we're just going to have to get over it and replace the corrupt with some good people and move on eventually. Fantasy Island. Yeah, they had quite a good racket going for a long time. But yes, it's coming to light. It always does eventually, I suppose. But maybe not. I mean, there's a lot of Earth history that we still don't know about because it's all buried and hidden. Let's see. But Roger Stone is insisting he's seen the Epstein files and that Trump will be exonerated. I believe that. I don't think Trump was at the island. I don't think Trump did any of these weird pervy things with Epstein. Doesn't need to. But he'd still be protecting people. And he's playing stupid about it, and I don't like that. We got to trust the guy. Now he's acting like this is all just a big left-wing hoax. Not buying that either. What if the guys from KISS are on the list? Well, that is an interesting dilemma. But that's what I'm hearing. Well, I mean, we can all speculate. There's so much involved. Actually, in fact, I just saw a TMZ video the other day, randomly going through YouTube. Maybe I'm going to pull up a quick clip from one of the hosts over there. One of the dudes that's got all the sources, and he's looking at rumors. And okay. He's trying to not uncover, but he's just saying there's a lot of people involved. So it's complicated. It's easy for us to get mad at Trump as the front man.
Some interesting information.
Here's a quick update. I almost forgot. We'll roll a little bit of this here.
On the Epstein file. We talked about this last week.
Significant because TMZ, while I'm not a fan of what they do, I don't like the paparazzi stuff and all the Hollywood gossip and crap, but they have a lot of high-level sources. They are able to give us a little insight on this, which I do find interesting. But that's going to get to your question, Kenneth. The kisser on the list, is it going to be a lot of actors, musicians?
There is no list. Pam Bondi, when she talked about it back in February, there is no list. Whatever she said, there is no list. But there is a file. And in that file, we are told, and this is from people who are privy to the information in that file. One person in particular. And what we are told is that there are numerous names in that file of famous people and celebrities, and that he just reveled in having all of these people in his universe. And the file makes that clear because remember, the government did a lot of investigating and talked to a lot of people, and Epstein wrote things down too. But the file includes one person who is privy said to me, it's half the people in the world that are famous. Now, I think
of the magnitude of something like that. Maybe half of the ultra famous people, the highest level of actors and musicians, celebrities, politicians. If the list is that big, I mean, it's one thing to let 40 people in Congress, maybe even 100. But what if it's also people, high-level actors that people love? It's not so easy to expose it all. Maybe it's worse if we don't say anything at all and just let everybody get away with it. Or is there, it's a case-by-case basis. I'm not saying you got to destroy everybody because they made one visit to the island and then who knows. But people are calling for blood. People want justice. But I don't know. I don't know what the nature of the crimes are, so I don't even know what to say or how bad it all is. And certain people did worse things than others, or maybe not, or they're just on a list and they don't want to guilty by association. I don't know. But it's going to take a long time to sort that out. Maybe they can do it in pieces. I'd like to know. I mean, I'm sure, I think Kash Patel and Dan Bongino were honorable people that went in there for the right reasons. I think maybe they saw it. Maybe they realize that it's so much bigger than most people know. And it's going to unravel not only the United States, multiple allies, and so much of Hollywood that they just aren't ready to go through with it. Okay, I don't know about the raid 2 months ago. I couldn't release it for national security reasons. Is that on the New York, or is that the FBI building? I have to get a little more context. Maybe I'm missing that part. But let's keep moving. Here's an interesting tweet from Zink saying our faith in government is nearly gone. Democrats realize their leaders were lying to them. Republican voters just realized their leader is lying to them. Of course, the difference is the Democrats just pretended like there wasn't a problem. They didn't even care. And in fact, they rejected it when it was exposed that Biden was a vegetable. And that the media was lying to them about his cognitive decline. They just got mad at Jake Tapper for writing a book and exposing it. They weren't mad that they were lied to. But the difference is with the MAGA Republicans, they're mad at Trump for lying to them. So what do the people in power think is going to happen next? That we all surrender? They're pushing the envelope, but I guess that's a risk they're willing to take. You know, people have said they might destroy the whole planet before you're ever going to bring them to justice. You're not just going to go, okay, you caught us. We were bad. We did terrible. We committed crimes against humanity. Send us to the Hague. Darn kids. No, these are extremely powerful people that are not going to let the peasants revolt. Are we going to have a revolution? And if so, who's going to lead it? Who do we have that's... If it's not Trump, who is it? Who's somebody that we can all get behind? Let's Superman or Jesus comes back. We're kind of short on options here. Okay, let's see. How about Wayne Allen Root? Here's how Trump turns the Epstein list fiasco into a home run. And as a biggest bonus of all time, also sends Obama and Hillary to Gitmo. Yeah, I think you kind of, we sympathize here. We've been patient for a long time, waiting for justice. And it's still not here. Just as we think we're about to get something, we finally turn the corner. We're finally going to get a win. We're going to get vindicated. Then we get kicked in the balls last week. But Wayne here is basically saying, yeah, it's time to get a special counselor, special prosecutor, go through every name, interview them all. Or as Mike Benz is saying, go back and get those files from 2008 when it was all fresh information. There is plenty of threads to unravel if we want to tug on something. This is not just a hoax that popped up in the Trump term 1. Not going there. So dismayed to see Trump make that announcement today. Okay. What else do we have? Let's take a look at maybe the only... There's actually one good base Democrat in the House. I did not know that. I just found this out yesterday. That's I thought the last one that I knew was Dennis Kucinich. It's a struggle, man. Those Democrats, they're a changed party. They had some decent people 20 years ago. Then they had Dennis Kucinich, and then they redrew his district, kicked him out, kicked out Cynthia McKinney. But now we've got the Ro Khanna, if I'm pronouncing that right, actually doing the right thing with the Epstein thing. But the rules voted 5-7. He's to deny his amendment. He called for a full release of the Epstein file. But Republicans blocked it. Crazy. In fact, let me... I can't seem to get this page to work, or this video to work. Let me try it again. Technical difficulties, I guess. We got House Republicans blocking a Democrat-led effort to force release of Epstein files to the public. And you've got 5 Republicans who voted against transparency. This is a jaw-dropping move. This was late last night. House Republicans slammed the door shut on transparency, voting 7-5 on the Rules Committee to block Representative Ro Khanna's amendment that would have forced Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice to publish all Epstein-related files publicly. So, can we blame Trump? Put all the blame. Why? What is the logic behind stopping this? But I mean, kudos to the one good base House Democrat who's trying to do the right thing, because most of them, this is the disturbing thing too, is the Democrats, the leftists, they love to dunk on the MAGA people for the Epstein list. But it's not for the Epstein list. They're not outraged that we're not getting justice to the the elites that were involved in child sex trafficking. No, they just want to go after the MAGA so they can just say "told you so," because they want to with their TDS believing that Trump is the ultimate bad guy. So that's a disturbing development as well. This is something that should be a nonpartisan issue. So Jeffrey Epstein was a monster, but his real ties were to the Democrat elite. Bill Clinton flew on Epstein's Lolita Express at least 26 times. And he's asking, why are the Epstein files still hidden? Who are the rich and powerful being protected? So on Tuesday, that would be today, says he's introducing an amendment to force a vote demanding the full Epstein files be released to the public. The speaker must call a vote and put every Congress member on record. So that would be the ultimate showdown there. People can find out, did your representative vote for or against this? Should be very this should be set. Your midterm should be set right here. So good call. All right, here we go. Maybe I can watch the video on this thing because the Twitter one's not working.
Mr. Speaker, I introduce today an amendment demanding the full release of the Epstein files. The Speaker's Rules Committee should demand a vote tomorrow of every member of Congress. Yes, we should release it, or no, we should not. This is a question of whose side are you on? Are you on the side of protecting the rich and the powerful who've put their thumb on the scales of government to suck out millions of dollars while working class Americans suffer? Or are you on the side of the people? The Attorney General said on her desk was the Epstein file. And now she's saying, no, nothing to see, don't release it. This is a question of trust. We need to release the Epstein files so we can restore government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And every member of Congress tomorrow should be forced to vote on this amendment.
I agree. Good stuff. Why can't they celebrate this guy? This guy should be the one that people are... for the leftists who model themselves after, not AOC and the Squad and Bernie Sanders and the Chucky Schumer, Nancy Pelosi clown show. Oh, here we go. A real House Democrat with some integrity, like Dennis Kucinich. This is what he would do. Accountability, justice, transparency. So we'll see. I mean, this is, I don't know, perhaps this is all happening right now as I speak. They're on the House floor. Would you want to go out there and make it known on record? Do you want the Epstein files released? Yes or no? Why wouldn't you? What would be the reason not to, unless you're on them? Or maybe your good friend is on them. Your mentor, congressman, who helped you through Washington, but he's on a list, so now you're going to try to protect him. Maybe. Not when you're on record, not when you got to address your constituents. Not if you want to get reelected. All right, so I think that's covers that. So is the Epstein case just one giant Democrat hoax? No, certainly not. And it's not going away. And I don't know. what's happening here. As far as Trump goes, I don't know why he tried to double down on this, but it's not going to go well. Yeah, okay, this is another thing people are putting out. Perhaps it's all a ploy to get by Trump to get the Dems to demand the Epstein files. So yeah, this goes into the 40 chess, 60, whatever. Yeah, it certainly could be. All I know is that we have to keep the pressure on. Like, if there was no pressure, it'd be like, oh, just trust the plan, trust Trump. Then who knows if there would be any progress. I mean, they want to sweep this under the rug, so all we have to do is do nothing. And they'll be happy to make it go away for all of us. So is it a trick? Is it a trap? That would be cool. That would be the ultimate maneuver, and it could be. We don't know what Trump knows. He is the art of the deal. He is clever like that. So I just hope at the end of the day that he knows what he's doing. He's on our side, and he's working a deal out somewhere behind the scenes, and that there will be a good explanation of some of the things that we've seen from him over the last couple of weeks. Okay, well, let's move on. Next story. Is it time to just show maturity and move on from Epstein? Maybe we should just let this whole thing go away. Worry about our own lives. According to some, I mean, Charlie Kirk did, and then he got so much backlash that he decided to have Mike Benz on. Normally like, but he says it's time to move on from Epstein despite the mountain of unanswered questions. He argues that showing maturity is more important than uncovering what happened. And according to Dinesh, who committed horrific crimes against children.
I'm going to talk about the Epstein files, and I'm going to make the case that even though there are unanswered questions about Epstein, it is in fact time to move on. Part of being on a political team is maintaining a certain amount of maturity, recognizing you can't win them all, recognizing there are some things that are important to you that are less important to the guy that you've put in charge, who is trying to focus on things right in front of him. And so having a sense of perspective, having a sense of balance, having a sense of maturity, I think is more important even than getting to the bottom of what really happened with Jeffrey Epstein.
Really bad. You can kind of play both sides of that, but he's going one way. It's not good. I mean, this is why the base is divided. Charlie Kirk's, the Dinesh D'Souza's, strong allies of Trump, because they don't want to piss off their base or their audience. Caught in the middle. But I don't know. I don't think that's a good take on that. Just, you just got to show maturity, let it go away. That's more important. Letting the predator class, the elite predator class, get away with horrific crimes. Okay, well, let's see. There's another angle here. Alex Jones is saying, I can't believe what Trump world is doing to itself unless Elon Musk was right, because Elon did drop that bombshell after he got back from DC, announcing that Trump was on the list. Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, is ready to reveal the truth of the pedophile client list. So why are Republicans blocking her? Great question. Even Glenn Beck is calling for it. So co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell is threatening to reveal the Epstein list if she's not released from prison. So that's a little dangerous too. Saw what happened to Jeffrey. We don't want Jelaine to disappear. And we saw the biggest witness of all of them go down. Some weird. It was a suicide after she had gotten hit by a bus in a terrible bus accident. It's really weird. Okay, we had one of the Diddy witnesses also tragically died. There was another weird, mysterious death surrounding Brigitte Macron. They're digging into her little gender mystery. Yeah, this is kind of out of the playbook. Somebody, the elites are in trouble. We've got a key witness that's going to bring them down and have them face justice, and then they mysteriously die. Okay, let's... speaking about with the Dinesh D'Souza thing, I don't know if I can't confirm this rumor, but Luke Rudowski's reporting here. Well, it's from Leading Report, which I'm not 100% how legit or if they're somewhat clickbaity. But President Trump personally contacted prominent conservative influencers, urging them to tone down their criticism of the administration's handling of the Epstein case. That's according to CNN. Because Luke is saying that explains the major shift in many of these people. Shame. So does that explain why Charlie Kirk and Dinesh D'Souza and Brendan Billy and Cat Turd and others, Sean Farad, who cares? We know the names. We see them online. So are they getting a personal call, a communication saying back off? It's one way to control the media. But that makes them no better than the leftists that we criticized over the years, getting paid by Act Blue. They're AstroTurf activists. Not real passionate grassroots people that stand for integrity and truth. Being told what to say and think. I don't know. Trump administration to release, but now there's been a shift. So it's kind of gone back and forth. So there was the backlash last time he was on the tarmac. And he said it was just a hoax made by Obama. And then there was the good news yesterday saying that they had backtracked. They had gotten the message. They heard the motto loud and clear that they weren't going to accept the sweep under the rug idea. And they wanted some accountability. And so the administration decided, I thought there weren't any files. And now, okay, well, now that you guys are pissed off about it, well, maybe we have something. Really? So Lara Trump announced Monday that the Trump administration plans to release additional info following pressure from conservative supporters. Because I do think there needs to be more transparency on this, and I think that will happen. Says Trump, he does want transparency on these fronts, everything we're talking about, because it's frustrated him as well. He doesn't sound too frustrated. He obviously knows what's in there. Buck stops with him. He knows way more about that stuff than any of us. But then they send out that stupid memo people thought was just a joke. And she had the files on her desk, a truck full of evidence on the way. And then all of a sudden they completely flip. And then they show fake video footage from the jail cell. Very weird. Yeah, exactly, Sandor. They said there is no list. And then once people got pissed and said, wait a second. Well, then what's Ghislaine Maxwell doing in prison for? What was sitting on Pam Bondi's desk? Why did you give the dossiers to those influencers? Why did you tell us that there was a truckload of evidence? They even had one of the top FBI guys there in New York like walked out of his office. He's gone. One of the guys in charge of covering things up. 14 terabytes of hard drive footage of whatever, blackmail footage. And and then they just turned around and said, no, it's all nothing. No biggie. Go back to bed, America. Yeah, exactly. They just flipped the couch cushions after the outrage. Oh, maybe we do have something. Let me go look in the back. Let me flip the seat over. Let me look under. Yeah, she only had a nail file on her desk. Yeah, she's got to explain that, man. How do you say you had it on your desk, you looked at it, it was so bad. And then, we've got all this extra information. It's just going to take a while for people to go through it and redact the names, and then you guys can get it. Not good. But now you got Trump's Department of Justice delivering a crushing blow to Ghislaine Maxwell's Supreme Court appeal as Epstein accomplice seen pacing in prison. I think there's a video of her out. Here's Ghislaine Maxwell out jogging. There she is. Justice Department under Trump firmly rejected Maxwell's bid to overturn her conviction, dealing a devastating setback to the imprisoned socialite's legal team. Attorney General Bondi filed a response Monday urging the Supreme Court to dismiss Maxwell's case, effectively shutting down her attorney's arguments that a 2008 plea deal should have protected her from prosecution. So she is 63 years old. She is serving a 20-year sentence. For what? There's nothing there keeping her. She's not allowed to appeal. Now the House Republicans are blocking the files. And she's offering. Apparently they don't want her talking. Maybe they should send Tucker Carlson into her prison. Maybe he can interview her. We could let Steve Bannon do it, but then he'd sit on the footage for 5 years. Here's Dan Bongino. From Office Space there. I was told there would be a client list next to his red stapler. Poor Dan. I think they said he was like a multi-million dollar podcast deal. Throws it away so that he can go serve his country. And now they are. He's not getting the answers he's looking for. I don't know if he's being played behind the scenes. It's not a good position. Yeah, Pam, I was misplacing stuff. Thought it was on her desk. It all disappeared. It's all gone. Truckload of evidence. There's nothing but just child porn that they can't release to the public. Oh well. Nothing to see here because we can't show you. Just take our word for it. It's not good. All right. Dan Bongino reappears after sudden absence. Yeah, I think the word was he got so mad he stormed off. Didn't want to, wanted to run away. Just doesn't want to be a part of it anymore. What is he going to do now? We go back to his podcast. Is he going to be allowed to even talk about the things that he's seen since he was put into the FBI? It's too bad. It's frustrating. But he's reappeared after his sudden absence. So that's good. Going back to work, and apparently everything's good. Everything's right. For people were calling for Pam Bondi's head. Trump said everything's good. So it's not like people were thinking there was like an ultimatum. Bongino was like, "Hey, we got to get rid of Bondi, or I quit." I don't know if any of that's true or not. It's hard to say what any of it is. Maybe someday we'll get to read it in the books. Somebody will write it. We'll get a book deal in a few years after the administration's over, and we'll finally find out what was happening. But there are some good developments. I was going to say, they need to redeem themselves if they're going to get their trust back. If they're going to try to bury the Epstein story, then they better get some high-level people here, because Americans are not going to be satisfied with this. It's this two-tiered justice system where the elites can get away with anything, including crimes against humanity. So you got FBI Director Cash launching a grand criminal conspiracy probe targeting Obama, Brennan, Clapper, and Comey. So that's good. We'll see if anything happens with that. People are still, until somebody high level gets arrested, no one's going to care. We're just going to continue to be frustrated with this. Let's see. Yeah, if Dan left, he'd likely be silenced. Yeah, they'd probably put him under some kind of a deal, like a non-disclosure, classified info. He wouldn't be able to just go on the podcast and spill the beans. So they kind of got him trapped. Yeah, gonna look behind the fridge. Yeah, they got that information somewhere. Just got to keep looking. They found that secret room in the FBI headquarters. I don't know if there's been any development on that front yet either. But maybe that's tied to this current scandal. They're going to drag Comey into it somewhere or another. Defense Trump. Let's see. The defense Trump used for the Mar-a-Lago classified docs investigation. He could declassify anything, but not with Epstein. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he wants the sole responsibility of being the guy who brings this all out. I think he needs this to be a major group effort. Otherwise, if Trump just decides, hey, I'm going to release it, that could endanger his friends, his family, himself. I don't know if it's going to kick off a war. Who knows? But if these elites are going to destroy the planet to protect themselves and bury the truth, who knows what they'd do? But if it was all just one guy, they could rain hell on him and his associates. So I don't know. Maybe that's part of it. But yeah, that's a good one, Kenneth. Yeah, it's been a trust bust. We could say it's Iran's fault. Yeah, they're trying to change this as... and it's another weird thing to see all these people taking sides with Israel, or everybody that's like super pro-Israel is trying to say that anybody criticizes Israel is somehow like on the payroll of Qatar. That's always blaming one side or Iran. Okay, let's keep going. Speaking of Israel, so is it time to show maturity and move on from Epstein? Well, can we show maturity and continue to get information on Epstein? I think that should be the right move. So that's just the way that Dinesh D'Souza decided to frame it. But who is he to suggest that it's a mature thing to do to let pedo elites get away with crimes against humanity? So let's just go to the next story. There is no truth to the Epstein association with Israel. Not true. There's a lot of information that says that. So it's Epstein with the FBI, CIA, MI6. It's the British intelligence, Mossad of Israel, and maybe even because he had like associations with the Saudi arms dealer back in the day. So you had some high level people that he was chumming around with. And part of it was the pedo stuff, and another part was the trying to get the elites to do like legalized tax evasion and monetary scams. But let's here's a clip here from Glenn Greenwald.
Here's how that lawsuit terminated.
Talking about, this is back in 1994. About Robert Maxwell. We showed that picture earlier. Ghislaine's father, connected to Israel. And it was well known. He was he was involved with Mossad.
New York Times, August 1994, U.S. author, meaning Seymour Hersh, gets an apology in the libel case. Quote, the out-of-court settlement announced in the High Court in London also ended a countersuit brought by the author Seymour Hersh and the publisher Faber and Faber Limited. The Maxwell lawsuit was prompted by Mr. Hersh's 1991 book, The Samson Option, about Israel's nuclear weapons program. In yesterday's proceeding, a lawyer for the Mirror Group, which was controlled by Mr. Maxwell before his death in November 1991, said it acknowledged that Mr. Hersh, quote, is an author of excellent reputation of the highest integrity who would never write anything which he did not believe to be true, and that he was in this instance fully justified in writing what he did. Fully justified was the admission by Robert Maxwell's publishing company and his estate about Seymour Hersh's well-documented, well-sourced claim that Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, was a billionaire who worked for Israeli intelligence.
Okay, there you go. That's part of it. We also got Glenn Greenwald calling out one of the former prime ministers of Israel. One of Epstein's closest friends was Former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak. Key source of Epstein's vast wealth was also from Les Wexner, whose primary life cause is Israel. Ghislaine Maxwell's father, the billionaire Robert Maxwell, was a Mossad agent who mysteriously died after it was reported. So, after Seymour Hersh, who also, yes, one of the great investigative journalists, been like expelled from mainstream media because he's too good. He was also one of the ones that said that the Nord Stream pipelines was not sabotaged by Russia. That was embarrassing for the administration. So Epstein got the red carpet treatment when visiting Israel, and Epstein bankrolled major investments in Israeli tech. So yeah, obviously, I mean, Epstein's he's got a girlfriend, business partner, what have you. Her father's Mossad. Come on. And he's chumming around with several prime ministers. I think it's more than one. In fact, former Israeli PM denies Epstein worked for Israel or Mossad running a blackmail ring, because of course he did. He will say with 100% certainty that this blackmail ring is false, blah, blah, blah. It's an accusation, is a lie peddled by people like Tucker Carlson, pretending to know things they don't. And it's a vicious wave of slander and lies against my country and people. Here's a interesting married Israeli politician, Ehud Barak, is seen hiding his face entering Epstein's New York City townhouse, as a bevy of young beauties were also spotted going into the mansion. So this wasn't even on the island. This is just in New York, whatever. This is pretty awful. So why is this Israeli politician hanging around trying to cover up his face, prowling around, yes, next to Epstein's townhouse in New York? Meanwhile, they're showing all of these young girls going in. Wonder what happened in there. And, good for them. I mean, as long as they're not minors. I don't know. I guess consensual adults can do their thing, but this is still not appropriate for a high-level politician to be doing these pervy things like that. At least not publicly like that. So you got a few of the Israeli prime ministers linked to Epstein. Shimon, I don't know how to pronounce all these stuff. But it's also Netanyahu. I'm not saying Netanyahu is involved in the sexual stuff. But I mean, why would somebody like Epstein be that high? Imagine knowing like multiple like presidents. That's basically what this is. The prime ministers of it, and then we want to say there's no tie. Really? So that's BS. You can't, there's no way to spin that. This is damning. And then Tucker called him out. You just won't take it anymore. Instead of issuing threats on social media, why don't you sit down for an interview on Epstein's tie to the Israeli government? And Tucker claims he is going to reach out to his office. This was yesterday. We'll see if he takes him up on it, but I won't hold my breath. Yeah, we all know. It's a big Mossad operation. They don't want that exposed with our greatest ally. Okay. Guitar riff. Yeah, they're trying to just blame Tucker as being like, they actually have the balls. Like even like Laura Loomer, some of these people that are, the Mossad Barbie or Insurrection Barbie, some of these like high level accounts actually trying to spin Tucker Carlson. He's actually like a bad guy and he's compromised by the Qatari government. He got paid a bunch of money for his speech, so he must be compromised. He's working against America now. How dare he criticize Israel? He must be on the Qatari payroll. It's like the Russian payroll. It's the new conspiracy theory. It's weird watching these Israel first neocons do the mental gymnastics. Actually, TK Mark believes that CNN report. Yeah, sometimes they get things right. They'll cover for their own people, but sometimes they get things right against their enemies. Okay, let's take a look. Final part of this one. I haven't even seen this video. Marjorie Taylor Greene believes foreign intel agencies are behind Epstein, calls for President Trump to appoint a special prosecutor to release the Epstein information.
I support having all the information released. We should be the party of transparency, not the party that covers up the people that surrounded the most well-known pedophile in modern day history. That disgusts me, and I really want to see Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino lead the effort in exposing those people, the powerful, rich elites that always get away with everything when we see ordinary Americans constantly feel the hammer of justice come down on them. So I'm like you, I fully support a continued effort to release.
Yeah, so going after the elites like they went after all the January 6th peaceful protesters that didn't know they were in a restricted area. And then they got deep states going after them, raiding them in the middle of the night, dragging them out of their homes at gunpoint. I wonder if they can turn the tables on some of the people that actually might deserve something like that.
Those names and those people, that's the right thing to do.
Do you have any inside baseball? I've got some, maybe I can tell you off air, about who told Trump that we should just move on from this and, direct people to shut down this investigation. Obvious giant fiasco. it looks good that he's starting to back out of that and understands nothing to hide, bring it out. Do we have any idea why the hell this giant Epstein fiasco started?
Well, I can only speculate publicly, but I can talk to you offline about it, and I would like to do that. But I think that we know that
two people that know a lot of stuff, but they can't say it publicly, but they'll talk to each other privately. So I guess, this is how we're going to have to handle it. So no big revelations there. All that we know is that there is a secret and they can't talk about it. But they can't pretend like this is all just a hoax, and they're not confirming that either. But, well, keep running this for a little longer.
it's not just the American government that is involved or was involved with Jeffrey Epstein. I believe it's foreign countries' governments. Some people have said Israel. It may be Israel. It could be the UK. We don't actually know. I don't know.
Yes, Israel, UK, and possibly Saudi, or at least some people involved there.
So I haven't seen the evidence, so I can't give a concrete explanation based on the evidence. However, those are the speculations, and guess what? It's not wrong to speculate that, and it's not wrong to say that. And I really encourage everyone that continues to ask questions. This has been the first fracture in MAGA, and we don't want this to happen anymore.
Okay, could agree there. After the brutal civil war over the last couple of weeks, so it's become quite divided. Maybe some of them were directed, misguided. Maybe some are grifters. Some got it wrong. Maybe there's a way to, but there's also the people that are doing the purity tests, the loyalists. It's been an interesting fight. So we'll see if we can get everybody back on the same page again. But there were so many people willing to just sweep everything away. And just move on like it never happened, even though they were, shrieking about it for years for justice. It was weird to see the 180 there. But I guess we all got a little insight on all the different MAGA characters. Okay, I think that's all I've got on that one. So there is no truth to the Epstein association with Israel. Well, of course, there is a lot of truth to it. But one of those unpleasant truths. But we'll all be better off once we figure out what's happening in the long run. Okay, well, let's move on. Next story. Is it time to send everything to Ukraine versus Russia? So things have been amped up a bit significantly with the conflict. Putin trying to set up a peace arrangement there, getting Putin and Zelensky on the same page. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But maybe Trump is now putting some major pressure on. So Trump is now sending everything to NATO in a massive push to bring Putin to the table. He's not playing any games anymore. And for a while, it did seem like Putin was the reasonable one. But then maybe it was, I don't know if it was the failed assassination attempt that Zelensky did when they sent the drones after Putin's helicopter. People aren't keeping their word on the ceasefire. Then Trump's been having some tough phone calls because apparently Putin's not playing ball, or he's not... you can't trust him on his word. That's something we really shouldn't want to be a part of, or at least we're not putting boots on the ground, but we are throwing a ton of resources into this Ukraine war. Wish they could have just divided up the country by now, or at least just give Putin those territories that would rather be a part of Russia anyway and be done with it. But no, we're going to escalate this even further. Now we're going to be sending more weapons and equipment, resources But I guess NATO is going to pay for it. So I guess that's the silver lining there. But maybe it's just all just a maneuver to say, okay, Putin, we're done. It's no more. Either we have to sit down, make a peace deal, and we're just going to continue to bomb Kyiv. It would not be trustworthy. Then I guess Trump's going to amp it up. Sanctions and anything else. He's sending everything to NATO to get Putin to the table, and there will be more. Weapons flowing at a record level to help Ukraine defend themselves. And even Lindsey Graham's excited, which is never a good thing.
And
well, I don't know if I'm going to run. It might be an old clip here. But let's take a look at this clip.
in a nutshell, we're going to make top-of-the-line weapons, and they'll be sent to NATO. NATO may choose to have certain of them sent to other countries where we can get a little additional speed, where the country will release something and it'll be mostly in the form of a replacement. And I'd like to have Mark, and again, just a highly respected, pretty young guy, for having had the career that he's had, because he had an amazing career before going to NATO. So.
Okay. So he described the plan would ensure Ukraine's military strength without depleting U.S. reserves, and that NATO would pay for everything, and maybe that will have to be the way the deal gets done there. Without putting American boots on the ground, without putting just, money that never gets paid back, get the mineral deal. And now if you're going to force the European NATO side to pay for the American equipment, maybe that could work, or at least be a deterrent. That's the goal here. So they can finally put this to bed, because everybody's tired of that as well. So yeah, Trump unveils shock pivot by announcing billions in NATO-funded weapons for Ukraine, warning Putin of sanctions. And that's all I've got on that one. Okay, so it's time to send everything to Ukraine versus Russia? I suppose, but hopefully this is just a deterrent. I wouldn't be in favor of sending more just money and weapons that never get paid back. But if Putin's not playing ball, if he's not the good faith guy that I thought he was at least principled, then I guess it's time to amp things up. Here we go. Now, next story, Trump crossed a line by eliminating bond hearings. It's been interesting as the border war continues and the mass deportations. The Trump administration has eliminated the bond hearings for illegal border crossers in a massive expansion that could explode the detention population. So the Trump administration implemented a sweeping policy that will force millions of migrants who entered the United States illegally to remain detained throughout their deportation proceedings. So eliminating the decades-old practice of bond hearings. So if I'm interpreting this correctly, people would you'd come in illegally and they'd say, okay, well, you can go release yourself and you'll be brought to court in a few years. But the court system is so backed up that it'll take years to get everybody through it. And then you're talking about giving due process to people, how many tens of millions of illegal aliens, that's just going to back things up for 10 years or more. It's never going to get done. There's no way to get the mass deportations through if they're going to stall the process the entire way. So now they're just going to let these people remain detained the entire time, trying to kind of incentivize people to leave before they're captured. This is going to be a deterrent. So you can't just hang out in the U.S. waiting for your court date. You're going to be detained once you're caught. Now they're going to have to really amp things up, because there's not going to be enough room for all of these detentions before they deport them. Policy reversal marks a significant departure from legal standards that have governed migrant detention for decades. So it could explode the detention population. Under previous procedures, individuals facing deportation could request bond hearings before immigration judges. And then when judges granted the bond, migrants could be released into the communities while their deportation cases proceeded through the court system. And that ICE's annual report, that majority of these, was like 7.6 million migrants on the agency's docket had been released. But the new guidance requires that they should remain in detention centers, where ICE is currently holding about 56,000 migrants daily. So they're saying the detention capacity is expected to nearly double after the big beautiful bill, providing $45 billion over 4 years to expand facilities, including the alligator Alcatraz. So migrants now face deportation to a third country with as little as 6 hours notice if they had an opportunity to consult with an attorney. So, interesting battle they got brewing. The Trump administration is setting the deportation record. It would be a lot higher if it wasn't for all the obstruction with the Democrats and the leftists, the judges. The calls for the due process and the calls to attack ICE or resist. But things are moving along. It's just a major, massive undertaking. But yeah, the ICE memo reveals Trump's plan to scrap bond hearings to keep millions of illegal migrants locked up. Guess that's the way it should be, but it's been abused for so long. They didn't have the facilities, and in fact, they seem to want these people to come in and be used as a future voting bloc for the deep state Democrats. Okay, so interesting development there. That's all I've got on that issue, and then we'll move on. One final story here. All of Biden's autopen pardons, should they be annulled? Or should I answer the last question? Trump crossed the line by eliminated bond hearings. No, those people are in here illegally. They've abused the system. I feel bad, but at the same time, something's got to be done. Trying to incentivize the people to leave. They're even offering financial incentives, a chance at legal migration in the future. But if you're going to hang out in this country illegally, you're not just going to be able to hang there and wait for your court date. At some point, you're going to be waiting for your court date in a detention facility. So it's a sad situation, but that was started by the Democrats, and now Trump has to clean up a big mess. So, no, I don't think they're crossing a line by trying to push in this direction here. So, or by scrapping the bond hearings to keep the illegal migrants locked up. So finally, the Biden's autopen pardons, should they be annulled? Here you go. You got Biden's teleprompter assuring the nation it approved all autopen decisions. Everything is all good. But, of course, this is satire, and in all seriousness, this is a massive scandal. Got an oversight committee member calling for more subpoenas as Biden aides lawyer up. So we can get to the bottom of, yes, we know that Biden was cognitively declined for a long time, but really faded badly in the last year. And probably had no idea where he was half the time. And somehow there's all these, like a record number of pardons that got sent out. But was he actually signing them? Was he aware of any of it? Apparently not. And it was his aides that were signing things. So this was a pure puppet president. But playtime is over, at least according to this article from the Federalist here, because the New York Times was even forced to acknowledge this. They were attempting to help Joe Biden and his administration off the hook in the autopen scandal, but it's having the opposite effect. If anything, the Biden apologists raised a lot more questions about just who was in control of the White House and the thousands of presidential clemency decisions issued in the waning days of Biden's term. So the newspaper tried to publicly exonerate the cognitively compromised former president and his staff from a three-front investigation, which raises the urgency for answers under oath. So I guess, the record-smashing 4,245 acts of clemency, the vast majority in the closing months of the term, despite emails now showing that multiple pardons were granted via autopen without the president's approval. And that the New York Times piece notes that the only clemency warrant that Biden actually signed with his own hand was for the full pardon that he granted his corrupt son, Hunter. So yes, the historic scandal, and then they're sending out subpoenas. One of the main names here is Anthony Bernal, a former Biden assistant and senior advisor to First Lady Jill, is set for his first meeting deposition Wednesday, tomorrow. He didn't show up for his voluntary interview, and so they had to issue a subpoena to force him. They also had Biden's White House physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, who claimed that Biden was up to the job in his medical evaluations. So he didn't want to show up, but they issued a subpoena, and then he came and he pleaded the fifth. As we all know he was declined. They signed off on it. They perpetuated this scandal. And if they could have gotten away with it, they would have gotten him reelected for term 2. They'd still be running him and pretending like there's no cognitive decline. It's pretty sick. So yeah, there's going to be some accountability, I certainly hope. Okay. It's also notable that Biden did not do an interview with the reporters at the New York Times for all 4 years of his presidency. Isn't that odd? Because he was so cognitively declined. They had to cover up so much of it. They shielded him from the press. All right. Let's keep moving. There's just a few more and we'll call it a day. Got Biden Chief of Staff Jeff Zients, who also served as Biden's COVID response coordinator, pardoned Dr. Fauci with an autopen. So this might be the guy. So it's Anthony Bernal. There's another name. I know Jeff Zients. There could be some more. There's a few people to go through. So this is probably a group effort. Massive scandal. Yeah, Fauci pardon was greenlit by aide with no proof Biden approved it. I have one other one. Let's see. Well, I guess, Rand Paul referring Dr. Fauci to Department of Justice following the report revealing Biden aide used autopen. Yeah, Jeff Zients. He's going to be another name to watch. Jeff Zients and Anthony Bernal, who are basically the acting presidents unbeknownst to us, especially the last few months of the Biden presidency. It's funny, it's not even Kamala. She's probably day drinking and incompetent. Couldn't be trusted to do anything. So is the aides doing it. But yeah, speaking of, Comer just signed says the Biden autopen scandal puts every single pardon and executive action under peril. Yeah, You could probably say Hunter Biden was the only legitimate pardon, and that everybody else, including all the January 6th committee and Dr. Anthony Fauci, yeah, it should be annulled. So just to follow that up, all of Biden's autopen pardons, should they be annulled? Absolutely. Give him Hunter, give him his son, because that was signed with his own hand. And what do we care? I still want that Hunter laptop, though. Biden family still has to be held to some account for their business scandals. But, they want to pardon Hunter for his gun crime or his tax stuff. I don't care. So, but anyway, fascinating development. So there's some good news. But until we get some high-level perp walk, people are never going to be satisfied, and we shouldn't. So the quest for accountability. Anyway, but that's all I've got for today. Well, I think I'm about at my time, about 95 minutes. A little over, but that's all good. Covered all the major stories. There's another one with Adam Schiff might be involved in a real estate scandal. I mean, they really got to go after him for the whole Russiagate thing. But eventually, they did open the gates on Comey and Brennan, so they're going to target some of those people. It'll work its way through, I hope. Where everyone's just going to get a slap on the wrist after dragging things out for months. It'll be business as usual, but I hope not. So, anyway, I guess that's there's good and bad. But that's all I've got today. So, thank you all for listening. Thank you, TK Mark and Kenneth, and Sandor, and all of you, and Unholy Hoax, and anybody else out there lurking in the background. Please like and subscribe. And we'll do it all again next time, Thursday, 4 o'clock, the usual time, and we'll see if things change. If there's any new breaking news on these fronts. Otherwise, I'll be back for Toxically Masculine Tuesday tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time with Mike Barra, Dr. Brooks Agnew, and Trail Boss Steve Doran. So that should be interesting, as it always is. Perhaps the best roundtable on the internet. So you want to tune in for more. Otherwise, I'll be back for the regular solo show on Thursday. We'll take it from there. That's all I've got on this day. So thank you all again. Love you guys. See you next time. Take care. I'm out. Final surprise comment here. Americans need to see the Epstein files from Amber. Hello, Amber. We aren't going to be hindered by the fear that Trump might be in them. We deserve to finally know the truth, no matter how bad it might be. I completely agree. Even if it takes down half of the governments around the world, even if it takes down Trump and every actor and musician I love, at least we'll get to the bottom of it, get to the truth. I agree. But it's going to be a painful reality and a rude awakening for a lot. But thank you so much, Amber. Glad to have you. But yeah, this is the end. I'm going to wrap it all up. But I'm going to put that one great final comment up there. Thank you, Amber. Take care, everybody. I am going to call it a day. We will see you next time. So